Hare Krishna. This video is a communique to the disciples, followers of His Divine Grace Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, who not long ago departed for the spiritual world. And last night I had the good fortune to be part of a remembrance in which many of my revered godbrothers were present and spoke about Bhakti Charu Maharaj. I had the opportunity to also speak at the end, and I answered one question briefly, upon which I wanted to elaborate further. It was, in one sense, a troubling question. It was a troubled question. It was a question from a troubled disciple who was expressing, and I've seen this and heard this same expression repeatedly over the days, and that was that, well, we paid for Guru Maharaj's deliverance. We prayed to Krishna. Around the world, devotees for 2 weeks were praying, if you so desire, please save our spiritual master and let him stay with us. And yet he decided to take him. So I don't think I'm going to pray any further. I think I've lost some faith in Krishna, because I don't understand why he didn't do the obviously right thing. I'm going to repeat an anecdote that Govinda Swami Maharaj, my very good friend, told me, who was in Vrindavan at the time of Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. And this pastime took place just at the 2 days after Prabhupada's disappearance, when all the devotees had left for Govardhan to do Govardhan Parikrama as per Srila Prabhupada's desire. And Govinda Maharaj stayed back. He was the cook at that time. His name was Ayodhyapati. And he was preparing a feast in Srila Prabhupada's honor for all the devotees when they returned. And he went into Srila Prabhupada's rooms. Prior to that, it was always so full. There were so many devotees. Now that everyone had gone, there was no one there. And he went in and he found Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, who was there, who was in a very, very disturbed condition. He was crying, sobbing. Bhakti Charu Maharaj was relatively, or had joined relatively late in Krishna consciousness, 1976, towards the end of 1976. But he had the extraordinary fortune to be with Srila Prabhupada from February on until November 14th, when Srila Prabhupada disappeared. And Srila Prabhupada was extremely affectionate towards him. They spoke in Bengali together. Srila Prabhupada really gave him a lot of mercy and loved him. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj's Krishna consciousness was very much dependent on Srila Prabhupada's association. Now that Srila Prabhupada was gone, Bhakti Charu Maharaj was really, really upset. And Govinda Maharaj tried to pacify him, but he was crying and crying and crying. And then ultimately, through his tears, he was able to speak and communicate and say, but Srila Prabhupada is gone. How will I continue? How will my spiritual life continue? What will I do without Srila Prabhupada? And so Govinda Maharaj spoke to him. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who is really taking care of you and sort of almost a Shiksha Guru. He's here. Other senior devotees are here. Your godbrothers, godsisters are here. Ultimately, Srila Prabhupada is present in his picture, in his deity form, and most importantly, in his books. And you've heard Srila Prabhupada say this over these months, how Prabhupada will always live in his Vani, which is much more important than his Vapu. So gradually, Bhakti Charu Maharaj became calm, and Govinda Maharaj said, listen, by the way, I'm really short on helpers. Everyone's out there on parikrama. Please come and help me cook. So then Bhakti Charu Maharaj went and they cooked a wonderful feast together. Now, I'm giving this example because this, and I tried to make this point yesterday, I fear that it didn't come across well enough to devotees. This is exactly the same situation that disciples of Bhakti Charu Maharaj now find themselves in. Although most of them didn't have the good fortune of being with Bhakti Charu Maharaj in the way that he was with Srila Prabhupada, and be dependent on Bhakti Charu Maharaj in the way that Bhakti Charu Maharaj was dependent on Srila Prabhupada. So what is a disciple? A disciple is someone who follows their guru. Now what did the guru do? What did Bhakti Charu Maharaj do when he found himself in this position that now what will happen to my life? And we prayed for many, many months. We prayed for more than 2 weeks. We had that prayer going for 6 months. Everyone in the Krishna consciousness movement, 5,000 disciples, they were praying for Srila Prabhupada, but included Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. But still, Krishna had his plan. So a disciple is someone who follows the examples and learns from the example of their spiritual master. So what did Bhakti Charu Maharaj do? Yes, he continued in his Krishna consciousness, and his faith in Krishna never wavered, despite the fact that Srila Prabhupada was gone, by taking shelter of his godbrothers and godsisters, by serving Srila Prabhupada's mission, by studying Srila Prabhupada's books, and by living by Srila Prabhupada's Vani, and by being one of the most dedicated and ardent supporters of the GBC body and the Krishna consciousness movement. He was really, ISKCON is the only way, and that teaching of his echoed and resonated sometimes in my mind to excess, how he would always place so much emphasis on ISKCON's greatness, its potency to deliver the world, and the GBC's role in serving that. In other words, he didn't falter. And so when devotees ask, well, now what should we do? What can we do? How do we continue? We continue by following the example of our predecessor, by following this extraordinary example of Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And I'm giving this anecdote because although it happened to all devotees, I think probably in one way it may have been more of a shattering and difficult situation for Bhakti Charu Maharaj because of his newness in ISKCON, because of his close association and utter dependence on Srila Prabhupada. So please take this lesson of your spiritual master to heart. And what would he think if you told him that, oh, my faith in Krishna has now decreased? Any of you who know Bhakti Charu Maharaj know he would get on your case. He said, how can your faith in Krishna decrease? How can you doubt anything? And my addendum to that is, and what did your spiritual master do? Please follow the example of your spiritual master, and you will gain strength from that. You will become very strong from that, because you will live with him, and he will bless you. He will give you the strength to continue just as he continued. and to become great, just as he wanted you to become great, to be an achiever, to serve ISKCON, to become a recognized Vaishnava, and to continue Srila Prabhupada's mission. And when devotees have that perspective and become determined in that way, then you will be living with Bhakti Charu Maharaj always. Those were the few words I wanted to say. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.